Hello and welcome to New Game Plus. I'm Tim. I'm joined by Kirsty. How are you?
I'm still recovering from this PAX pox. It is evolved into something different this week. So every new day that goes by, I feel PAX coming back to haunt me in a different fashion.
Yep, but at least you leave there with good memories and some biological diseases or something.
So the PAX hasn't left me yet. It has remained with me, reminding me at all hours of the day and night of the fantastic time that we did have there. It truly was a great experience. It was a fantastic coming together of all us Australian and international gamers. A lot of international people came down as well.
Yep.
Just kind of, wanting to have a great time, surrounded by the drunk bogans from Derby Day, which really made a great contrast. Because, I don't care what people say, I really don't. But the behaviour of people at PAX was astounding.
Yep.
Like, generally speaking, everyone wanted to have a good time. You stepped outside of the Jeff shed and had the drunk bogans coming back from the races, and it was just like another world. Like, this was the behaviour that people whinge about.
Well, whenever you go to cons and stuff, nerds are very well behaved. We're a nice bunch.
Well, we want to have a good time, and we want everybody else to have a good time. But then
compared to the rest of society,
God, it just sucks. But so of course, because we had such a great time, we're going to continue, like PAX Pox, bringing you this good time for many weeks afterwards.
Yep.
So we've got some great coverage coming up for you in this episode, as well as future episodes as well.
As well as TGS, more of that coverage. And we've got reviews. We've got D4 as well.
D4, yes, which is a great a game we've been very interested in since seeing it at TGS last year. So it'd be great to see what the guys finally think about that game. And of course,
Bayonetta too.
Bayonetta. Oh, I'm really excited. This game, I didn't see any Bayonetta cosplayers at PAX, but that's okay. It's early days. But let's go straight into our first review.
Matt, name for me a good Connect game. One that doesn't involve dancing.
Well, don't you even remember the 2010 Game of the Year? Connectimals.
Oh yeah, that. But aside from Connectimals and aside from all the dancing titles, it hasn't really been a good time to own a Kinect because Microsoft have even abandoned the thing for Xbox Ones. Having said that though, I think we may have found our savior in D4, Dark Dreams Don't Die, the latest game from Swery65.
Swery65, absolutely. So you jump into the role of David Young. It's a fairly contrived story, but we'll just jump straight into it. Meat and potatoes, his wife unfortunately dies, and 2 years later he's still trying to solve her case of a murder. So you come across like three of her last words was look for D, and that's all you have. So you actually collect particular items called mementos in the game, and then you use those to jump back in time and find out more information about her murder.
And it only gets stranger and stranger from there. Because some of the characters that you encounter, they are eccentric to say the least. And they are sort of the highlight of D4's narrative. Because the actual mystery isn't really there.
It's very reminiscent of Deadly Premonition. It takes a while to get to the point, and unfortunately it is fairly short in its premise, considering it's an episodic and seasonal game, and it does end on a cliffhanger.
A pretty hard cliffhanger at that. But we are sort of burying the lead here because probably the best thing that D4 has to offer is the use of the Kinect. This is a game that, unlike every other game that supposedly promotes it, is better with Kinect.
Well, it's split into two facets. You've got your investigation sequences where you go and collect evidence and talk to particular people. I found the navigation with the Kinect to be a bit jarring in that sense, but the second block, the action sequences, are actually much better with Kinect. So it's a bit of a two-edged sword in that regard.
Yes, and the QTEs are actually some of the best moments of this game.
And they're very quirky too.
Because some of the things they have you do with the Kinect, whether it be just from your standard swiping, to shouting at the Kinect, to covering your face to progress through levels. It is some of the most fun I've had with the thing that doesn't involve me dancing like a fool.
Well, all in all, I reckon it's a fairly whimsical journey, and hopefully, like, Microsoft hasn't been really too big on it, so hopefully Microsoft doesn't let this dark dream die. Wow, I can't believe I went with that. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, this is definitely a very Japanese game, hey?
Yes.
Even the voices feel weird, like to me. Like, I don't know, the art style, the quirkiness of it, I'm like, this should be in Japanese.
And even how, like, the game works. Like, it's not a traditional game.
No, it reminds me very much of God Hand. Like, there's a bit of God Hand here. There's a bit of Killer is Dead as well. I see, like, a lot of those kind of influences coming through here, so...
And myself, I haven't played the game. I'm not too interested in the game.
So what to be played? No, so...
Yes, that covers that. But I've been seeing a lot of stuff from, like, Microsoft promoting their exclusives, and then they leave this one out. And it's where he goes to Microsoft and is like, hey, what's up? My game is, like, one of your exclusives. Pimp it.
Pimp
And
it,
they
yeah.
don't. So yeah,
No.
he was quite sad.
But I don't know, like, I love these kind of games. I mean, it just seems so out there. There's this really kind of bizarre storyline going.
Yeah.
Timmy, this could be, remember we talked at the start of the year about broadening your horizons? I think this is a great horizon broadener because even the gameplay antics seem
It's off the edge of the world. It's not the horizon. It's
Yeah,
it's
but
so
that's
far
the point. It's
removed from anything that I've ever played.
But isn't that what you want, Timmy? Isn't that what you want?
So one of the cool little indie games we got to play on the PlayStation Vita was called Murasaki Baby. And it's hard to explain the kind of game. The premise was that you are this little baby girl and she walks out her front door and you have to kind of lead her through all of these obstacles. Very much puzzle based, but very bizarre.
It's very, very bizarre. I mean, essentially, let's go down to grassroots, okay? So, thumb facts. It's essentially what you get if Tim Burton designed a video game, both art style and stylistically speaking. Now, it's a fairly morbid game in terms of like tone, so there is a fair amount of social commentary there, but we won't get into it. We'll talk about the game itself. So, it's all based entirely through the touchscreen and the rear pad. No buttons at all, so you actually have to touch, rub, and drag your way to victory in terms of this game. So you got this like little child who's looking for her mum, and you end up having to help her. She's got this like little health balloon, like this love heart balloon that she carries, which is representative of her health. So you got to make sure that that balloon does not pop by going through rain, going through fire, going through spikes. Really, really interesting game. I'm not sure as far as longevity goes because it was fairly short as far as the demo goes.
It was also relatively repetitive. I mean, it is a basic puzzle game.
Yep.
I liked the changing of the background. You got to change the backgrounds and that helped in the puzzle element as well. But generally, I don't know, I didn't get enough excitement from this game or didn't get enough out of this game that I would continue to play this game beyond the initial like 10-minute demo that we got to play. Again, it looks like the game would progressively get more morbid and more interesting because it's very Tim Burton in its style.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just waiting for Helena Bonham Carter and Johnny Depp to make an appearance. But anyway, I thought the demo was charming enough, and I actually can't wait to see more of it once it releases.
I think it looks really good. It's a great use of the different Vita features, so who knows where it's going to go. So I am a big Kingdom Hearts fan, so I was quite excited to get the opportunity to play Kingdom Hearts 2.5, which is actually a game I haven't played in great depth. So to be able to play it on the PlayStation 3 upscale was actually a really good experience. But you got to play Birth by Sleep.
Yeah, so it was the PSP rendition of Kingdom Hearts, essentially. So it also got the same HD remix treatment that Kingdom Hearts 2 did. And I believe it is included within the package, so it's all like a complete package. Anyway, it did control fairly well for a PSP to PS3 title. Really, really good stuff. It does the conversion really well. The graphics as well are pretty decent. I mean, you can count the polygons here and there, but it comes naturally with PSP games.
Yeah, 2.5. I got to play the Halloween level, so that was really fun because I loved Kingdom Hearts obviously, and I also liked Halloween Town and all that kind of stuff. The game played pretty well. It felt the same. It was a bit weird having to attack with circle, which is a very Japanese thing. But once I got past that, the game itself played pretty well. It was very smooth. It was just the graphics that stood out to me. I would have liked to have seen them upgrade a little bit more. It did seem a bit blocky, so I was like, However, it was exciting to play a Kingdom Hearts game again. I couldn't remember how slow Sora was with the Keyblade. I was like, hurry up! I'm getting a bit spoiled. But otherwise, I think it'd be great. Like if you are building up that HD collection of Kingdom Hearts games, this completes the collection really nicely.
Yeah, I'm on the other side of the coin here. I mean, I love the pastel colors, and it's good to see them not just throwing in Bloom and then just calling it a day. It's good to see them kind of take their time with it. That's all good. And I know it's good to see it get some representation. And I know Disney here is fairly huge, Square Enix as well. But it was still awesome just to kind of sit it to the side, to the back lines, and just give it a bit of a play. And I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it once it comes out.
Welcome to Old Game Plus, and today we're going to party like it's 1999. Y2K's coming. Didn't have the disasters we expected, or did. Phantom Menace. We had to sit through that.
But the Matrix was okay. The first Matrix.
The first one,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
That was the only one.
Yeah.
But it was also a very good year for games. We still had the Saturn, the N64.
The Sony PlayStation was really, really strong. at that time. And also on the horizon of later that year, September 1999.
Oh yeah, 9999, Western release date of the Dreamcast. Ah yes, with Soul Calibur, Crazy Taxi, Sonic Adventure. Oh,
So many games on release.
yes, beautiful console. But we still had Super Smash Brothers released that year.
Yes, a
Great
lot of fighters. Super Smash Brothers on the N64. There was Marvel vs. Street Fighter. There was also by Capcom Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. So many fighters. Again, like
PC had some good games as well. Medal of Honor, Counter Strike.
Yeah.
There's
some really good, strong FPSs. Like
PlayStation came out with great games like
so
Escape,
strong the PlayStation.
Silent Hill, Crash Team Racing,
Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, still doing very well. Another thing we saw in 1999, which you don't normally see, was a commercially available emulator.
So releasing it commercially was a different take on it.
Yeah, there's Bleem was releasing Bleem packs for the PC and the Dreamcast.
Called the Bleem Cast on the Bleem.
Yes,
Dreamcast.
Originally the plan was to have packs. Each would run 100 PlayStation games on PC or Dreamcast. 4 of those packs were going to be released. It would have meant 400 PlayStation games available on the Dreamcast. Sony got wind of it and they weren't very happy.
But some of the games that made it were really, really good. So things like Metal Gear Solid, Gran Turismo 2, Tekken 3.
Yep.
And they were all upscaled to be like 640 by 480 instead of 320.
Native PlayStation resolution. They also added anti-aliasing and bilinear filtering. So it would have been great. Sony kept them in court for a long time, got rid of them, but you can still find copies of Bleemcast.
Yeah, never quite made the court case stick.
Yes, which set a precedent for emulators, which is still around today. So 1999 is a very interesting year with a new console, great games. Billy Mitchell set his world record for Pac-Man. Yeah, we're not sure if he sent in a fuzzy videotape, but
might be able to look at YouTube and find out.
He's credited for that. But yeah, Game of the Year. What do you think?
My Game of the Year, Valkyrie Profile I loved, but my Game of the Year would have to be Metal Gear Solid, the original.
Good choice.
Yeah, so good, so cinematic. I loved it.
I really can't go past a Dreamcast game. For me, Soul Calibur, just that was my highlight of the year. But yeah, 1999, great year for games as well.
I'm joined by Michael Hamden, lead game designer of Assassin's Creed Rogue. Thank you very much for joining us.
Absolutely, man, no problem. Very happy to be here at PAX.
So, Assassin's Creed Rogue, it's in America again, but it's set into a very interesting period in American history, the 7-Year War.
Yeah, so the 7 Years' War was a major conflict between the British and the French, and really what they were fighting for is control of the North American colonies and ultimately the world. You know, who was going to create that big empire that would go on and grow and take over the world? And you know, we know the British won, but yeah, it's really cool to explore how they do that. And the Templars were kind of supporting the British, as you might expect, and we'll see a bit of that in Assassin's Creed Rogue.
And I think that's probably to me what's most interesting about the game, is because I think people underestimate the French influence in American history when it's all said and done.
Well, absolutely. I mean, this conflict really changed not only North American history, but really the history of the world. If the French had won, the world would be a very different place now. And it actually has some pretty cool impacts on the game. You know, you're allied with the British at sea now. So when you're fighting a ship with your ship, the Morrigan, you're fighting against a French ship. You can see a British ship actually sometimes come over the horizon, lay into that ship you're fighting, and then it's like, oh wait, I have friends this time. This is pretty cool.
No, that does sound really, really cool. I mean, is there anything? Was there a particular area you wanted to focus on in that whole period, or was it just basically you wanted to give the overview?
Well, it just was kind of the right period for us to set it. It allowed us to do some pretty cool things like the war effort. So, you know, we've got missions or it's not just missions, but activities on the ground where you can come upon a skirmish where troops are fighting and you can help the British troops win. And it just creates a lot of interesting things. Obviously, you know, the Templars are a big organization. They want to have a lot of impact on governments and on control, and so they were really invested in making sure the British won this war. And the Assassins, on the other hand, were supporting the French during this time. So they're trying to, you know, make sure that side won. So it was kind of a perfect place for us to put the struggle, where Shay is a guy who starts the game as an assassin, so you get to see that side, and then he becomes a Templar, and then so you see the other side. So it's a bit
of a flip on the 3 formula, if you will, where you kind of spoils, start off as a Templar, and then you start off as a and blah 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 blah, and you go the other way. So I guess that's an interesting twist. A little bit of a different question. But you're working out of the Singapore studio.
I am.
Now, in the Asian region, Singapore doesn't ring a bell when you say game development. Singapore.
Well, we're trying to change that, actually. We've got a terrific studio at Singapore. We have very experienced developers. Singapore has actually worked on a lot of the Assassin's Creed games, all the way back to Assassin's Creed 2. So we've got a huge history in Singapore, a lot of very talented, experienced developers, and Assassin's Creed Rogue is one of the biggest collaborations we've ever done.
I guess sorry if you can handle the heat. That's probably the big thing. I will wrap it up there, but I will say one more thing. Personally, and we can get the company guys to cover their ears, what time period would you like to see represented in an Assassin's Creed game?
Ooh, it's very difficult for me to answer that one, I think.
Right.
Look, I'll just say that history is our playground, and we've got so many amazing time periods to explore. You know, we've got the French Revolution this time with Assassin's Creed Unity, 7 Years' War with Assassin's Creed Rogue. Maybe some Assassin's Creed Australia would be interesting in the future. Do a little.
There's definitely a story there for the Templars. If it's
Assassin's Creed Drop Bear or something, like.
Yeah, coming 2016, Assassin's Creed Drop Bear. Assassin's Creed Rogue, PS3, 360, but also PC.
PC, early 2015.
Beautiful, very cool. Hey, Michael, thank you very much for your time.
No problem. Thanks very much.
Class Zero, a select group with unique magical powers, sprang into action to drive back the invading empire. Milites, nation of the White Tiger, with steely arms by which to seize knowledge. Concordia, land of the Azure Dragon, whose unclouded eyes see all beneath the sky. Lorica, keeper of the Black Tortoise, who governs a rigid shield and well-guarded blade. And Rubrum, home to the Vermilion Bird, whose wings of fire lift the heart.
When the seal of creation is broken, your voice like thunder shall sound, and thou shalt know. We have arrived.
Have you ever seen so many beautiful men in one trailer at once?
I don't know, men and Japanese, like, just the description doesn't really fit for most Japanese
so
anime thingies.
But they're so pretty. Now, again, we've kind of walked out of Would Timmy Play It early in the episode.
Yes.
You're not so interested in Japanese things. What about Final Fantasy?
Hey, I played the MMO, I enjoyed the MMO, but anything beyond that, I think the Type 0... people are mostly going to buy this for the Final Fantasy 15 demo. Let's be honest. That's what people are going to buy this game for. Although people still want to play it because it was a handheld only release.
And initially it was a handheld release, but now we're getting it in the West because we never got it in the West. We're getting it in the West as a console version.
Yeah.
So I
That's
just
nice to see.
I just think the problem is though, like to me, Final Fantasy games have always been about the flashiness of it, the beauty of the graphics, and I'm sure again being made for Vita, it's gonna or made for the PSP, it's gonna be beautiful anyway. So I want to see it on my television in all glorious 30 frames per second. Like it's gonna be, I don't know, like to me it looks really interesting. Like of course they're really pretty men, so it's a perfect game for me because I get to look at lots of eye candy, and then there's lots of magic. But to me, you know what I really got out of this? A real Game of Thrones feel.
Yeah, with like the 4 factions and everything. Yeah, it could work out.
So I really want to, you either you be pretty or you die. I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
All right, so it's that time of the year. We're coming into Christmas.
Let's praise the Wii U again. Let's just get that out of the way.
Yeah, let's just get that out of the way because basically that's what this review of Bayonetta 2 is going to be. It's been a long time coming and there hasn't really been a killer app this year for the Wii. Was that fair to say? I mean,
you had Mario Kart 8, but it wasn't quite there.
yeah, Mario Kart 8 did it for a lot of people. I mean, I think Mario Kart 8's broad appeal to everyone, but the hardcore, quote unquote, if we're using that, waited for Bayonetta 2. And by God, if you did, you waited for basically the game of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it was no Gabe Newell, but it was well worth the wait,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's just jump straight into it. Jean, Bayonetta's sister, has unfortunately been dragged to hell, and now we can't try to get her back.
Not in a bad Sam Raimi kind of way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome Sam Raimi kind of way. But
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
that's the story. That's the grassroots.
Yeah.
That's it.
But basically, yeah, and so that is really the crux of the story. You meet up with people along the way. You learn more about her past and her shared past with Jean and the new character, Loki. And it's real simple. Like, when I say real simple, I mean by being too convoluted and bringing in all these different tiers of angels and stuff like that. It's still a real simple story of, I'm going to save Jean from hell.
I'm going to slay some demons. It is a beat 'em up at its core. So you don't want anything overshadowing the beat 'em up and the core, the meat and potatoes of Bayonetta 2.
It is it's the best. It is hands down the best. It's silky smooth. It plays really, really well. The combos, while you can button mash, aren't going to earn you a lot of points if you do, because you obviously want to maintain as good a combo as you possibly can.
There's a lot of endgame content as well. Being able to get all these upgrades as well. You want to earn a lot of those halos because everything is fairly expensive. But as you get everything and get all the moves as well, it does open up combo potential heaps.
Yeah, and not only that, it has modifiers for the game. The one thing I did find though, compared to Bayonetta 1, Bayonetta 2, I found a little bit easier. Not jarringly so, not like, oh, this is friggin' baby mode, why am I even playing this? But
for those Devil May Cry and Bayonetta faithfuls, I would recommend you stick on the hardest mode, which is Third Climax.
Third Climax and the African Idol. That's the one spoiler I'll give. The African Idol in Rodent Shop will actually make everybody hard mode.
I must say, some of the accessories you can get in the game and stuff that you can purchase can also tailor to your playstyle. So you have certain items that allow you to earn more score, as well as halos in the game, which is used as currency to purchase things. So you can suit it towards your playstyle. If you're a bit of a greedy Wario type player, you can get those kinds of things. There's all items that can suit to everyone's pace.
So for a game that's real simple in its approach, it's also very complex in how you can play it. And that's not even going into the graphics, because at some points in this game, it looks fantastic. There are times, obviously, where the limitations of the textures come in a little bit.
The textures are a little bit offish, but there's a lot of lens flare, there's a lot of bells and whistles.
In motion, this thing is amazing. Not to mention the fact that the designs, the enemy designs are just, look, honestly, when it's all said and done, boiled down to brass tacks, game of the year so far?
Yeah, Bayonetta, definitely. And if you need another opinion to convince you otherwise, ask your mum.
So Bayonetta is something that really pulls people in for the Wii U exclusives, and it does look very good.
I have to say, obviously Mario Kart really started the trend of amazing Wii U games. Bayonetta has definitely taken up the torch until Smash Brothers comes out. Actually, I take that back. Bayonetta has carried that torch on her own. Like, it's not even waiting. It's Bayonetta. It's, oh man, this game, like...
Yeah, and you were talking about it before, when people come up and say, oh, should get a Xbox One or a PS4? It's like, get a Wii U. There's so much good stuff coming out.
Like, pre-Christmas, genuinely, there's nothing else. Like, once Smash Brothers come out, you've made your money back. Once you've got Mario Kart, Bayonetta, and Smash Brothers, you have the trifecta, you're done.
And if you have a PC, you have pretty much anything that's on the other consoles anyway.
Yeah, but about 6 months later than everybody else does, but that's okay.
I'll survive. I've got WoW coming out.
Oh man, speaking of WoW.
Yes, BlizzCon would have just happened when this airs, so I would have been up all night watching all the panels, seeing the Metallica concert. I don't know about the Metallica concert, but the Foo Fighters were there a couple of years ago. They were amazing.
That's right.
And then Blink played the next year and were terrible, and the sound was terrible as well.
So hang on, so does that mean that Metallica's going to be amazing this year, and then whatever band they get next year is going to be terrible? Like, is it the Windows curse? Like, every second year sucks?
Hopefully.
Well, it's exciting anyway. So, well, obviously, we'll have more PAX coverage and more TGS coverage coming up for you in the coming weeks. Plus, we're getting into a really busy gaming season. Assassin's Creed is really close, man.
Yes, so many games are close.
I know, and the Smash Brothers, it was really good, and there's just so much, oh man, like, it's just going to be no sleep between now and Christmas, I think.
We should just not make the show, so we just can have more time to play games.
That's essentially it. So, but we'll have some great stuff coming up for you, of course.
Yes, but visit our website, www.newgameplus.tv.
Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/NewGamePlusTV.
Follow Twitters and Instagrams at NewGamePlusTV.
And don't forget to watch our Twitch, twitch.tv/NewGamePlusTV.
Thank you, Kirsty.
Thank you, Timmy, and we'll see you guys next week.